All right, let's dive right in. What we're looking at here isn't just some old myth. It's really a dark parable, you know? It's a story about how a celestial trap gets built and the god who travels to the absolute bottom of reality just to construct it. This is the story of Loki's covenant with the void.
The story kicks off with this incredibly powerful image. You've got Loki, a being of celestial light, and he's not just falling, he's descending with a purpose. The text says his light curdles into a bruised violet hue. Think about that. This isn't some fall from grace, it's a deliberate twisting of his own divine nature, weaponizing it as he plummets toward the very foundation of everything.
So let's start with the first part of this journey. We'll call it Loki's descent into nothingness. He's on a very specific mission to a place the story calls absolute zero. And this is the core of his whole strategy. See, to defeat an enemy that's all about vibrant life, he has to ally himself with its total opposite, a place where even the air itself has stopped moving.
Now, what's so fascinating here is the choice he makes. Loki is actively bypassing the worlds we'd recognize. You know, the oasis, full of life and feeling, or the marketplace, buzzing with action and ambition. He just rejects them. His destination is incredibly specific and totally alien, a cold, static realm of meaningless dust. He's not looking for a new world to conquer. He's looking for the end of all worlds.
And what does he find when he gets to this absolute zero? Well, he finds the masters of non-existence. You've got the pale cynic who's so still that someone arriving or leaving is the same empty gesture to him. Then there's his white lantern, which is like an anti-light. It doesn't illuminate, it bleaches reality away into nothing. And all of this is just wrapped in that numbing pole of the void itself. These are basically the forces of entropy, given a name and a face.
So the key thing to get here is what the void actually is in this story. It's not just empty space. No, it's an active agent, something that unravels things. It's like a universal acid that wants to break everything down, even a god's personality, even Loki's own cleverness, into simple, indifferent static. This is the incredible power Loki has come to bargain with, even at the risk of his own extinction.
Okay, so that brings us to the second part of the story. Loki shows up with that classic Mephistophelian grin, a deal-maker in the heart of nothingness. He sees a problem. The current forces of nihilism, they're just not cutting it. And he has a new, way more insidious solution. He proposes what the story calls a celestial infection.
This is the big strategic puzzle. The target, this figure of incredible energy called the Jester, isn't just strong. They're protected by this unique kind of philosophical armor. So how do you break something that finds strength in everything that happens to it, the good and the bad? How do you poison a soul that literally loves its own destiny?
The Jester's power comes from a principle called amor fati, which is just Latin for love of one's fate. It's a shield made of pure affirmation. It's the ability to find meaning and strength in every single experience. So, the pale cynic's white lantern can bleach away all the meaning on the outside, but it can't even touch a being who creates their own meaning from everything. That's why the old ways are failing. It's like a 2D attack on a 3D defense.
And this is where you see Loki's twisted genius. If you can't wear down the shield, you've got to crush it. His solution is to stop using the tools of nothingness and instead to pervert the tools of divinity itself. He wants to create a divine weight, to use the very idea of the sacred as a giant anchor, a crushing force to stop the Jester's joyful dance in its tracks.
And that leads us right to the forging of this pact. Loki's idea is a hit, and this unholy alliance is formed. Together, they're going to weave a new spirit of the age, a truly terrible Zeitgeist, designed not to destroy the soul, but to trap it.
The whole deal is sealed in these 4 clear steps. First, the offer. Loki provides a piece of the Bifrost, the sacred bridge of the gods, but it's corrupted, stained by his own shadow. It's a literal piece of divinity turned into a poison. The pale cynic accepts this, calling it a celestial catalyst. Then, the third member shows up, the spirit of gravity, with his heavy loom, and together, they begin to weave.
So what exactly are they weaving? Well, their goal is to create a counterfeit sacred order. They want to take that natural human tendency to worship things and lock it into a permanent, let-in religion, something heavy, oppressive, something that never changes. They are going to imitate the divine in order to kill the spirit. And here's how that works in practice. The Jester's actions, which the text calls rewilding, these acts of spontaneous life, freedom, breaking rules, all of that is going to be reframed. Within this new, heavy religion, these beautiful acts of life will be recategorized as blasphemy. They'll become a sin against their new, manufactured divine order. It's a brilliant, truly insidious trap of meaning. And so, we're in the final act. The alliance is forged, the strategy is set, the loom is weaving, the celestial trap is ready to spring. But this isn't the Ragnarok we know, with gods and giants fighting. This is a Ragnarok of the soul.
The plan itself is this devastatingly elegant pincer attack on the psyche. One force, the spirit of gravity, goes after the marketplace, the soul's place of action and ambition, and paralyzes it with the infinite what-if. Meanwhile, its counterpart, the pale cynic, targets the oasis, the soul's world of feeling and connection, and chains it to guilt. No part of the soul is left untouched.
This is the absolute culmination of Loki's plan. These two massive, solitary forces of negation, they're not independent anymore. They become extensions of his will, the right and left arms of his grand cosmic bet. He has literally orchestrated entropy itself.
With the whole system in place, Loki gives the final command. He whispers into the White Lantern, that engine of meaning destruction, and gives it a target, the new Jester. The mission? To bleach the blood of the Wolf Covenant, to erase the very life force of their pact with wildness, and sever their connection to the vibrant, untamed world that gives them their power.
And here it is, the truly chilling part of the plan. The goal isn't just to destroy them. Destruction can lead to rebirth, right? No, the goal is so much worse. A permanent freezing. A state of eternal, conscious paralysis. It's a Ragnarok of the soul that never actually ends. It leaves the soul trapped, but totally aware, unable to act or feel freely ever again.
The story leaves us with this haunting image. The sound of life, of joy, of the dance, the jester's bells, is about to be silenced, and not by some demon from below, but by the crushing weight of a heaven that has been corrupted from within, turned heavy and toxic as lead.
And that's the question the parable leaves us chewing on. When the very things we look to for meaning, for inspiration, the gods, the heavens, the sacred, when those things are turned into a cage, what possible path to freedom is left? It's a profound and, honestly, a deeply unsettling question about belief, control, and the resilience of the human spirit.